Hello and welcome to Space City Football. It's your boy LC. Talking about last night's match against Nashville. Um, Look, right off the bat, we talked about going into this game, uh, about the attitude of the team. Something that we saw against Inter was a team that was not willing to really go for it. A team that was not willing to play together, and a team that I think ultimately um, they just didn't. They lacked the passion. And what I think we saw last night is, again, I think you see those players, those very specific players that want to work their asses off for us and want to work their asses off for the city. But those players that play selfishly, or rather those players that just can't really be asked to do anything, I think that they overwhelmingly take over the team during the game. And I think that, these results are just a reflection of that. We get into talking about Quintero a lot. We get into talking about Figueroa a lot. There are few other players. Even Struna last night, I think, was couldn't really be asked, to really step it up. And now we find ourselves again out of a playoff position. We're 11th now in the conference. We're 19 points, something like, still only like 4 points away from, 4 points away from the sixth place spot. 5 games left to go. So, the question is now, can the Dynamo win a playoff position? And again, I said it in the last video and in the last couple of videos. If you get that 7th through 10th spot, that kind of wild card play-in spot, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's an accomplishment, and I don't think it's something to aim for. I think you have to aim for top 6 football. Can we reach that? For me, right now, just personal thought, the answer is no. I don't think in 5 games we can salvage 4 points, and it's extremely disappointing to say. And it might even be considered a bit harsh, but what we've seen over the course of now the last 8 games does not convince me that you can get 4 points in 5 games. Not right now. 8 games, 1 win. And it's a huge win. It's a rivalry win against Dallas, and we played extremely well without some of the players that I think are the biggest negative influence on the club right now. And I kind of, I chalk it up to that. That was a game where, we didn't have Vera, Manotas, Figueroa. Still had Quintero on. But we saw those players that don't really get their time to shine, and they took it and they played extremely well. And we lost a man and we had to park the bus for 75 minutes or something like that, but it worked because each player was working for each other. You saw Junkwa going 6 to 6 all game long, pushing forward, tracking back, and getting in a position where in his own 18 he could defensively really make a huge impact. And I think you saw that with a lot of players. Bizama had a great game against Dallas, as a fullback, really working hard, really, making the field compact, supporting the players who were pressuring the ball and really winning balls and getting them out of dangerous areas. What we saw last night, especially from Bizama, is somebody who was incredibly lost. I think our back four, again, no organization, no communication. It breaks down. They get beat on what is really simple. It's not dynamic passing that Nashville uses to break our line and get in behind for that first goal. It's pretty simple. Ludenvis gets caught too high, so Figueroa stretches out to the sideline, which makes Struna step in towards Figueroa's place, and now it's just a little 1-2 pass, huge gap, and they break us and they go on and they score a goal. It's not it's not it's not complicated, flashy football. You know, they didn't need that last night. Second goal, the header, credit to them. I think it was well worked and it was well taken. Third goal, and I said before Miami, and I said before last night, these are two teams you cannot give them set pieces in front of goal because they have hitters. They have people that will bury them, and fucking bury them they did, because that third goal was a thing of beauty. I have to give it up to the kid from Nashville. Oh, what was his name? I just had it up because he scored twice. He scored the first goal and the third goal. Mukhtar, Hani Mukhtar. I think that's how you say that. Yeah, kid he put on a clinic last night. You know, and it's a game where they put on 2 goals and they parked the bus for the rest of the match. They really did. They sat in their own half. We held possession 60% possession for the majority of the game. And we can't break them down because it's uninspired, it's uncreative football. Again, the guys that are supposed to be working off the ball to create space, Quintero, Manotes, they're not. They're really not, especially Quintero. Quintero is a guy that you can't bribe him to make a run off the ball that he expects to not receive. And what I mean by that is you make a run to draw defenders knowing that you're not going to get the ball, but you're going to open up space for somebody else. You cannot ask Quintero to do that because he won't. If he's not involved, if it's not going to pay dividends for himself, he doesn't care. He can't be asked. I think there's a few players like that on this team, but especially him. And again, scores the goal late in the second half. You know, at least, you know, he breaks the clean sheet. But I mean, it's not something that he created himself. It's something that comes off of, you know, a succession of combination passes, and it looked really good, and the finish was clean, and it rolls over the line. You know, if that's a goal to bring us to 1-1, you know, hats off. You know, we're off to the races. Let's make it a game. But it's not. It's a goal that takes us to 3-1. At that point, what's the point? What are you playing for now? You're only scoring goals now to pad your own stats. You're not playing a game or you're not trying to score a goal to bring us back into the game, is what I'm saying. Is that a new shirt? You know it's a new shirt, Alex. You were at the game last night. Yeah, so you know, I was there, and you know, hats off to the battalion again, because you have these super fans. You know, your Texian Army, your Surge, your battalion. They're gonna be on their feet for 90 minutes, and they're gonna sing the songs, and they're gonna beat the drums, and they're gonna make the noise, and they're gonna back your team. At the end of the day, if you ain't playing for them, piss off. Piss off. You know, you cannot make a name for yourself and try this flashy 1v1 style, I score all the goals football if your team is 11th place in the damn conference. No one cares. No one cares at that point anymore. If you can't play cohesively and win games, then the whole point of you trying to score your own goals and trying to look good for yourself, it does shit for your career. It doesn't push you forward in any light. No one takes you seriously, especially when you really don't have the skills to do it. And yeah, I'm calling out Quintero hard here because I think he's an extensive problem for us over the last few games, and especially last night. It's trying to take 2 defenders on when you have passing options on your left and your right. Open passing options. Does it turn into a goal? Maybe, maybe not. But what certainly does not turn into a goal is trying to take on 2 center backs every single time you get the ball up the middle. I don't get it. I don't get last night. It was rough to watch. Yeah, so the lineup comes out, right? And it's a 4-3-3, which what I said basically before the match was this 4-3-3 system has not been working for us. Over the last 8 games, the only games we won, we were not playing a 4-3-3, right? The Dallas game, we played a 4-2-3-1. And the game you tied against Nashville, same thing. It was a 4-2-3-1. That system seems to work for your players because it's overall more defensive. It's narrower, two holding center mids, and that's something that we can work with. We go with this 4-3-3, and I'm skeptical about it, but I'm like, all right, let's see how it happens. Nashville's lineup comes out. We realize they only have 3 back, 4 in the middle, so they're basically playing a 3-4-3, right, with their wingbacks going 6-6. And for some reason, instead of going to a more narrow style to kind of combat this wide wingback play with these 3 attackers up front, we drop into a 4-2-2. And it's just you send the message early on that we're going to park the bus and we're not going for it. I still have the tag on the shirt. I just realized that. Whoops. But anyway, you send this message that look, we're not going forward. You put Quintero and Manotas up top together, which does not work because, like I said, they won't fucking work for each other. Manotas will probably work for Quintero, but Quintero's not working for anybody else. You put them two up top, isolated, to try to get them to open up space, but they can't. They won't. They refuse. So you put Memo out wide on the left because even though that's his original position, that's not where he's been playing, and that's not where he's been most successful. He's always more successful in the midfield. It doesn't make sense to me. Lassiter and Memo Rodriguez trying to run the wings and basically build your attack from the wings it's difficult, and it doesn't make sense. You tell Serin and Vera to kind of play more defensively, so they're not pushing forward. So now you have this kind of wide-gapped 4 attacking players that can't connect to the midfield and get balls into dangerous areas. So your attack is slow overall, number one. Then you go, overall more defensive. You want 6 players, 7 players if you include the goalkeeper back, and they can't hold their position. I don't know what to say at this point because it's been said. Get the players in that want to play for the club. You eventually put in Jonkwa, who's been, again, I'm going to brag on him, working his ass off week in, week out, every 4 days, in the clustered schedule, trying to get his starting spot, trying to prove that he wants to play for this city. And then you start him, you bring him in as a sub for Ludenvist because Ludenvist gets caught too high and he can't track back. Why? He's not a fullback. I mean, he can play as a fullback, but he's not. He's a winger. He is a natural winger. He's tall. He's fast. He's creative. He wants to be a fucking winger. Let him be a winger. Don't put him in as a fullback just to get the fans riled up. Because, at that point, again, he had to go 6-6 because the attack was flat. The attack is completely flat, so now he has to go 6-6 because he has to go up and help and try to create something. And then when when that falls apart, he's got to track all the way back and play, defensively. Figueroa overall, I think last night played a lot better. I think he held his position for the most part, except for the first goal where he had to cover Ludenvist's ass because Ludenvist was, I guess he had decided to press the ball, but he gets caught too high and he just leaves in a huge gap. So the whole defense has to shift over to that side, and it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work. So look, changes have to be made, but this is not the change. We have to stop relying on Quintero. I don't care if he's the highest paid on the team. Fuck him. Seriously, if he's the highest paid player on the team and he can't be asked to fucking do anything, put him on the bench. Send the message. Send the message to the players that no one is above the damn law. No one is more important in the club. Padding your stats does not help us. It barely helps you, if at all. Maybe it'll help you to get a starting role in a Colombian Premier League team or something like that. But it's not going to work here, and it's not going to get you at a better team in MLS. It's just not going to help you. After the game, Tab Ramos, got into his press conference, and look, the thing that we've been talking about a lot is accountability. Accountability in the defenders when they screw up. Accountability for players like Quintero when they play selfish football. Last night was the first time I've ever heard him kind of mention accountability. He talked about making changes. He talked very subtly about players possibly losing their spot. But again, he makes no promises, and he says no specifics. Look, man, I'm going to back a manager for my club. I want every manager that comes into my club. Hopefully we don't have a lot, because every time we switch managers, it's a whole rebuilding process, and it's a whole nother, 3-year plan, 5-year plan, something down the road is going to be good. But every time, we have a manager in, and again, he's only been here for about a year now, it's, and dealing with Corona it's no small task. I get that. But man, am I teetering on Tab out. And I see the tweets, online, and the people that are immediately Tab out, and I can't join that bandwagon just yet. I can't say Tab out, but damn it if I can't listen to them. I hear the complaints, and they're not wild, unrealistic demands. They're very valid complaints. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again. It's, if there's no significant change, what is the point of even having, the gaffer at the helm? What is your job if not to find weaknesses and try to fill those gaps? If the 4-3-3 isn't working, don't give up and drop to the 4-4-2 and hope that we can keep them out of the goal for 90 minutes. Because it's extremely hard to do. No one who successfully parks the bus does it for 90 minutes. You have to go forward and try to create something. Then you can park the bus if you get a goal. And even then, doing it, those teams that have to do it against, some of the biggest clubs in the world are still not that successful at it. So when you come out and you change your original formation to a 4-4-2, super defensive overall, park the bus formation, all you're telling Nashville is come at us. Freaking come at us. And they did. They came at us, they opened it up, they scored twice, and then they parked the bus. Because they knew that we couldn't create anything in this system. They knew that we would not have anything on the front foot. Their plan worked like a charm, and our plans continue to have the exact same results, which is, maybe we'll score a goal at some point late in the game, but it'll probably be after conceding 1 or 2 goals. Inter Miami was a great chance to start creating something of a win streak. And we blew it. We blew it because we didn't want to rely on those players that, get a bad rap, or those players that aren't famous enough, or the names aren't big enough. I honestly don't know what it is. I wanted Benzema to play in this game. I wanted him to play against Inter, and he didn't. And he had a bad game. I called for Benzema to have his starting role, because against Dallas, he worked his ass off for 90 minutes. And, he played extremely well. And I said, look, this is a kid that wants to play for the club. Last night, I think he worked his ass off, but I can see why we're not starting him. I could admit when I'm wrong, but I can also admit that if that was the case early in the first half, which it was, why not make that switch? Why wait and then switch out Ludenvis when Ludenvis is having a bad first half, and replace him with a player that traditionally is not a fullback? It made no sense to me. You have other players on the bench that can play and that want to play in those roles. You have Valentin, you have players that are ready to jump into the midfield and start pushing on the forward foot when we're behind. You have Boniek. He's been there for a while, but damn it, he's been there for a reason. it's hurtful to see the club that we love so much just have no ambition. And there's whispers going around, there's rumors. This is because of the rebrand. We're gonna go into a whole nother direction in a year from now. So what we do here really isn't a big deal. That's a bullshit cop-out answer. Like, how dare you try to feed that to the fan base? That what we do now doesn't matter because a year from now, get ready, it's coming. Like that. How do you expect to build up your fan base, especially in a time like COVID, where people can't go to sporting events and they want to back their teams and they want to have, sporting event experiences? How do you look at them and say, oh yeah, come to our games, but they're going to be crappy for now because we have all these secrets that we're building in the shadows? Come on, man. You talk about the disconnected from the club and the city, and this is the route that you go about it. Secrets and just trust us, it's gonna work. Come on. Extremely disappointing from the front office, from the team, from the coaching staff. Overall, it's just been a bad run. A lot of changes need to come. And I accept that they are coming, but the fact that you want me to just get over what's happening now and just wait, I can't accept that. You have to do something now to make me believe that I can look forward to something. You can't just sell me on false promises. Guys, thank you for joining the live video. If you're on here, jump in the live chat. Let us know what your thoughts are on the last couple of games, especially if you were there last night. A lot of the usual suspects were there, and it's always good to see the supporter groups come out and those guys that are at every match, because look, man, if these communities ever start to get weary, if these communities, these supporter groups, and those particular fans that we recognize and are at every single game, the second they're like, it's a game we'll probably lose this week, so I'm gonna stay home this week. Maybe I'll go next week. The second you start to get that mentality, bro, your club's fucked. So shout out to the ones that showed up last night. But anyway, if you are watching the video, if you haven't subscribe and like the video and share it with your friends, and let me know how I'm doing. So look, 11th in the conference. Big loss last night, and we got – who do we got on Sunday, right? I believe it's Sunday. Sunday is the next game. When's the 18th? The 18th is our next match. Got to pull up my calendar. Sunday against Minnesota. This is very much a beatable team. It's a team that we've beaten before, and again, I've said that over and over. I said that against Minnesota when we tied them. I said that against Chicago when they beat the ever-living shit out of us. Said that against Nashville when we tied them, and then I said it again against Miami. I'm tired of saying it because at this point, I cannot look at another team and say this is a beatable team, because right now, no one for us is a beatable team. No one for us is a team that we can say, we're comfortable going into this game. We beat Minnesota and then we tied Minnesota. That's been our last two experiences with them. But what I did see was that this is a team that, look, when they lost to us, they looked at the Houston Dynamo and they looked at all the things that we were doing right. Mostly that our attack came through the midfield, and it through the central areas of the field, and we were taking shots in and around the 18, and we were taking a lot of shots. So basically they were like, all right, how do we counter that? And they changed their system. They brought back players that hadn't been playing for a few games. They changed their formation to defend more centrally. They pushed us out wide, and they scored 2 goals, like right off the bat. we were able to claw our way back to a draw, and I was hyped on our team for that. Shouldn't have gave up the 2 goals in the first place, but I was hyped that we could find that that desire, that ganas, right, and that we could drive and we could continue to play, and we ended up scoring those 2 goals. But it was a wake up call in that we had won a game, and I think the game following that, it was either a draw or it was a loss. Let me look it up. I just had it. So yeah, so we won that game. We won against Kansas, then we tied, then we lost. So it was like, we had this peak moment, and then we started to drop. We tied, we lost. Now we're facing Minnesota again. It's like, all right, we lost twice we lost a game and tied a game that we should have won. Little bit of a backward step, but this is our chance to play a team that we've already beaten. But we did the exact same thing, thinking that it was going to be successful again, and that just doesn't make sense. You can't do the exact same thing every game and expect it to work. And we, good on Tab. He made the correct switches when we were down 2-0, and we were able to come back and kind of claw our way back. But it still felt like a game that we should have won. Fast forward, one more week, we're in Chicago, a team that was either last place or second to last place in their conference. It had a shitty run of games. And instead of starting with what got us 2 goals in the second half against Minnesota and what had got us wins against Kansas and Minnesota the first time, we took a step backwards. We went back to the 4-3-3. We went with those players that had been causing problems, and we got absolutely smashed against a team that, should be relegated if we had promotion and relegation in this country, which at this point, I'm kind of hoping that we realize that it's probably for the better, because teams that play like this don't deserve to play in top tier football. The fact that they are in top tier football should be an absolute privilege, and they're playing it like it's, like it's whatever, like it's Sunday league, like it's not a big deal. Players on our roster, and again, we have one of the smallest salary caps in MLS still, but we still have players making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's like, I could go to the park in A-Leaf and find some players that will boss for way less. I know it's unrealistic. I know that's not how football works, but damn it, you could find them. You could find players that would bleed for this club for the bare minimum. And the fact that these guys are taking advantage of basically our city right now, it's hurtful. It's hurtful to watch. So look, going into Minnesota, look, they're a young team. They're a fast team. They're not necessarily technically gifted on the ball. They don't have a lot of players that can boss in the 1v1s. They don't have a lot of players that are going to have flashy skill or try to hit shots from deep or this kind of thing. But they are a team that can work. Their work rate is very, very hard to defeat because they are so young. So going forward against a game like Minnesota, you have to start thinking about putting those players, again, who will work. Those players who can last 90 minutes. And it's going to be our younger players. It's going to have to be players that haven't picked up a lot of yellow cards and caused a lot of problems for us. And if I'm Tab, if he's good on his word and he's gonna go, and he wants to hold these players accountable, then I hope he goes back to that 4-2-3-1 that worked out so well for us so many times. It's worked out for us more than once, and it won us a massive rivalry game. You're not necessarily out of the playoffs. Mathematically, you're not out of the playoffs. I'm extremely skeptical, but of course I'm going to support the players, and of course I'm going to be there, but you have to make the changes that matter. If Quintero starts in the next game, fuck, man, I'm going to be pissed. Don't want him there. Absolutely don't want him there. I think you let Cabrera or Fuenamayor come back into the center back spots, because in their last matches, they, they kept out more balls, I think, than Struna and Fuenamayor and Figueroa have been able to do, over these last 8 games that have been so abysmal. I think we're more organized when Struna and Figueroa are not paired off together. I think maybe that pairing just doesn't work. So either you put in maybe Struna with Fuenamayor again, or you put in Cabrera with Figueroa, but you have to find a combination that works, because this Struna Figueroa combination doesn't work. You put Valentin back in instead of Ludenvist. I think Ludenvist is either he's gassed or he's struggling mentally, but I think homie needs a break. I'm okay with putting Desama back in as a fullback, but I could see why you might not. Sarin and Memo have to play together in the midfield. They have to, because they are our best. They are our best combination in the midfield. They are absolute best combination in the midfield. They open up the space. They're both creative players. They're forward-thinking players, and they get our forwards into areas that are dangerous. I would like to see Zahibo back. He's been on the bench. He's fit, or he's maybe not 100% fit, but he's fit enough to play. I think you maybe give him a start, or at least bring him on in the second half, because we need some kind of rotation in there, because whatever Vera is doing is not working for us. It's not working defensively as a CDM, and when he does push up, he's not creating for us. So I don't think you put Vera back in against Minnesota. I'd like to see Zahibo in there, because, again, we need players with pace, and he's one of them. Going forward, we'll definitely have Lassiter back in, because Lassiter's pretty much playing every game for us. I'd like to see Junkwa complement him on the opposite side. And really, you could go with whoever you want at the number 9 at that point. You could go with Menotes, you could go with Ramirez, and I think you'll be successful that way, because I don't think the goals are going to come from them. What you can't do is put in Quintero in that position, because what he can't do as a number 9. Another coach told me something that is very spot on the other day. He basically said the role of the striker is not just scoring goals. And I think this is a very obvious statement, but it's a statement that we don't think about a lot. The role of the number 9, the role of the striker, is not just putting the ball in the back of the net. There is a defensive aspect to it. There's a creation aspect to it. How many times is he receiving the ball with his back to goal and holding up the play, so we can push forward and we can organize, laying off the ball or trying to play the ball in through the defenders, through balls in that we can chase and we can run onto. Quintero definitely doesn't do that for us, so I hate it when he's in that forward position, because he doesn't create. He just kind of hangs out, kind of jogs back and forth until maybe he can kind of find a spot where he can have a wayward shot that isn't on target. Or try to take on a player 1v1. It's flashy because he can take on one player, but then he overdoes it and he tries to take on 2-3 players and it doesn't work. So I think if you have really any other number 9, I think it's just better, and I think it will create for you. I think it would be more successful, and I think that if you don't win against Minnesota, and if you don't win your next 2 games, you can kiss the playoffs goodbye. So that's my thoughts, guys. It's been a disappointing run, but we always support the Orange. So yeah, keep it on our page. We'll be keeping you up to date with all the Dynamo news. Follow us on Twitter. The link is in the description below. Again, smash a like, subscribe, and share the video with your friends. And thanks for chatting with me. Vamos.